In this edition of Jeep 411, we'll be visiting with Jim Reel from JE Reel Drivelines. Jim is going to go over the entire range of drive shafts and U-joints they have for Jeep applications, including drive shafts for the JL, JK, and the Gladiator. They can also make custom drive shafts for a number of different Jeep vehicles, pretty much anything. Jim is going to go over the different U-joints and show us some of the new products that will be available from Nepco. And he's also going to explain to us how a double cardan U-joint works and why it's important to have those as part of your driveline. One of the important things about drive shafts is they're very vulnerable. They're the least protected item on your vehicle, and the fact that they rotate makes a big difference. In rock crawling situations, it's pretty easy to slip off a rock and catch a drive shaft or a U-joint and cause a breakage or even bending a drive shaft. JE Reel makes really strong products, especially with their 1350 drive shafts, and that makes a big difference when you're wheeling, especially in extreme rocky conditions.
I'd like to show you some of the parts we have for the JK and the JL. Okay, these are the flanges to go to the transfer case, the front, the rear, and the new JL takes a shorter one on the front for clearance at the transfer case. And then we have the yokes for the pinions. This is for the JK, this is for the JL Rubicon. The JL Sport will take the same one as the JK. And then here's your standard slip and stub for a heavy duty drive shaft. Our new Canyon Crawler version that's going to have heavier tubes, upgraded U-joints, will now have this slip and stub on it. And as you can see, some of the guys used to have to grind here to get enough angle. This will give you enough angle that you don't have to limit your suspension. And you can see the difference in the two stub shafts for size. So it's a large increase for the Canyon Crawler in strength. And then here's your typical 1350 drive lines that are the standard heavy duty. This drive line would get upgraded tubes and this upgraded slip and stub, and the fourth generation U-joints that have 4 seals in them. The 1310 is, you know, for your guys that are a little easier on their stuff. We don't recommend anything past a 35-inch tire for the 1310. That's its limit, and if you're hard with a 35, it'll break them. So this needs to be somewhere, you know, stock, 3-inch lift, 33, 35 at the most on the tire size. And again, transfer case yoke, axle yoke. And we use Napco U-joints primarily. This is the new OE design, 3rd generation. 4th generation will be out in January, and they've increased it to have 4 seals inside instead of 3. And right now, the testing on the new 1350 came out 11% stronger than any other 1350 U-joint on the market, and its lifespan was about 20% greater.
Impressive.
So, do you have a replacement for like the 297s? Spicer?
That's all in the works.
Oh,
We're going to do axle joints next.
Sweet.
With the 4th generation, they'll have 4 seals.
Yeah, because one of the problems that we have is the contaminants, the snow and everything, get in past the seals, because there's only just that one seal on there.
Yeah.
And that would be awesome for an axle joint.
Yeah, no, that's their next thing. They're already in the works. I believe they said these would start coming out mid-January, and by March the full line's supposed to be available. So I would say somewhere March, April we should have axle joints. That's their goal anyways. So.
With this old style seal, the seal kind of it clamps onto the outside, and a lot of contamination gets past the seal, and you know, snow and ice works its way in there, mud and silt, And so we would have a lot of people not getting a lot of time with these because the stuff would get past the seal, which is only like a single lip right here. And then sometimes when you're installing this, it would get damaged. But like on this seal, the seal's actually inside and there's actually 3 seals. So now when that slides over, that's actually a much more durable seal right there.
And if you feel the tightness on here versus there, there's a huge difference of how tight it seals.
Oh yeah.
But these two, when you're actually driving on the trail, a joint will get to about 160 degrees.
Right.
And then when you go through the water, that seal will actually expand and suck it in, where this one can't expand. So the grease stays in and the contaminants stay out.
Nice.
That's cool. I like that. That's pretty cool. So all the new drive shafts have that then?
Yeah, they're all, the 1310 is still the old way. No, well, I'm sorry. This one is, and they're switching to these now. This one.
Okay.
And the 1350s, though, are all the new.
Oh, we don't buy that many 1310s.
No, and that's why I didn't get too worried about this, because it's mostly the 1350 that everybody wants.
You can feel that just pushing it in there, how it seals.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
The double cardan joint is often referred to as a CV joint. It's actually a double cardan joint, and it does help keep the velocity more continuous, but it's not a true CV. It's not true constant velocity, but there's a gimbal in the middle that keeps everything timed and moving. You know, if this one moves 4 degrees, this one moves 4 degrees. And it keeps it all working together. And then, of course, as it oscillates, by splitting up that angle twice, you know, you're not getting as much shock load factor or binding.
Does that mean make it more durable?
Yes. You're putting, like I say, you're splitting, say if it's 8 degrees, you're splitting it 4 and 4 instead of one having all 8. So as it's rotating and it gets, further away and closer, it's just less bind on it, which helps the wear factor. And we have a cutaway that I can show you in just a minute here of the internals.
Perfect.
We can pretty much make drive shafts for any Jeep out there, any axle combination, transfer case or transmission combination. We just need to know the yokes you're using or the flange and the bolt pattern, and then we can make whatever length you need, whatever size you need, from one size down to another size. We've done all kinds of odd Jeep drive lines where we've had to have 3 sizes of tube to get the length and get around the starter, and weird stuff when people kind of put the wrong parts together. But we try to keep a stock of JK and JL drive lines. Obviously, those are the big movers. So we do our best to keep a stock of 100 plus drive lines at all time. The TJ, YJ, CJ, we build them more on a custom level as needed. A couple TJs we keep in stock, but like I say, most of the volume is in the JK and JL. We can pretty much build anything you need within 2 days. Some of the specialty stuff can take a little longer if there's a lot of machine work involved. But okay, so here's a cutaway of a double cardan joint. This is the gimbal in the middle that keeps everything working at the same degree here and here as it oscillates. So it's just a small bearing, and then the outer surface is almost like a Heim joint that rides in a little Babbitt bushing. And then there's a seal here to keep the grease in. And that's how the inside of one looks, and you can see it rides on this pin, and everything just keeps it timed. So what happens with a typical drive line, you're supposed to be within 2 degrees of parallel. If you put a protractor here and here, it should be within 2 degrees. On a double cardan joint, actually you should tip this yoke up so that it's pointing in line with this pin. You don't want to be dead level. You want to be about 1 degree below being straight in line with the center. Because what that does, every time, you can see this is further away, this is further, this is closer. Every time that oscillates, the joint speeds up and slows down 4 times in a revolution. Well, that torque load, as this is going faster and this one's going slower because it's closer, transmits up here, and that torque load is going sideways or up or down on these little needles. So if you take some of that off by getting it in line, this just spins more like a bearing instead of taking all that side load, which makes it live a lot longer, and that's what normally wears out on the cardan joint first.
Really glad you tuned in to Jeep 411. Hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll be bringing a lot more episodes to you, so stay tuned. And if you like our videos, please subscribe, like, and share with your friends. You're really important to us, and we'd love to have you come along for our interesting ride in the months ahead. We've got some interesting things planned for you. So, like I said, stay tuned, and thanks for watching.